Demir looked at Aliyah and said, I found out that marrying you was a condition for him. Aliyah's eyes narrowed. How did you find out? That doesn't matter, he replied. What matters is that you leave your son behind and agree to marry Cihan. Once you're in the mansion, you will work with him. I want to eliminate the Bora family completely. Before Aliyah could respond, the lawyer arrived. Cihan stormed in and slapped him across the face. Why are you talking to him? Are you going to tell him everything? He demanded that Aliyah marry him and assist him in his quest for revenge. He assured her that he wouldn't harm her son, but he doubted she would ever cooperate with someone like him. Aliyah admitted that she felt somewhat reassured. At least now she knew her son wouldn't be harmed if she helped Cihan. She confessed that she had gone to him out of desperation, forced into a corner. It was Cihan who had thrown her into prison. She had no choice. It was all for her son. Cihan suddenly realized she must have told his sister about their arrangement, and her husband had likely informed Demir. At the mansion, Nara sent her men to take young Cihan. They grabbed the boy and drove off. Nara followed, but the guards wouldn't let her inside. Furious, she got into her car and ordered the driver to leave. Cihan rushed to stop them, breaking the door in the process. She locked eyes with him and smirked. You're not the only ones who know how to create action scenes. She turned to the older woman and said, Kill me if you want, I don't care. I just want to see my son. Her gaze shifted to Shaheen. Kaya and Shaheen dragged her husband forward and demanded, What did he do? Shaheen's voice was cold. Why did you go back to him? He's a coward. You need to start living your own life. Nara went to her brother and demanded, Why do you want to marry her? He revealed that he had named Aliyah as Buran's guardian. It's not easy for me to say this, he admitted. But if I die, I hope she marries Aliyah. Now, Nara understood why he had changed his mind. But don't tell her, he warned. If she finds out, she'll only resist more. Seizing the opportunity while Nara was away, Aliyah escaped to the airport. When Cihan learned of her escape, he chased after her, but she was already gone. She couldn't leave the country due to a travel ban, so she was likely heading to Istanbul. At the Canadian consulate, she sought help. Kadir was also there, waiting for her. She pleaded her case, but the officials told her they couldn't assist until her legal issues were resolved. They did, however, agree to issue a new passport for her son, replacing the one the old woman had taken. Cihan spotted her leaving the consulate and quickly realized she was out of money. She had tried to sell her gold, but Kadir had bought it back. He called her. I booked a hotel for you. Stay there until you come back with me. The next day, her son fell ill. Without hesitation, she agreed to return to the mansion to be by his side. Cihan, meanwhile, faced resistance from the companies they worked with. He sought out Shaheen, who had distanced himself. One company reached out to Shaheen directly. We want to work with you, they said. Shaheen replied coldly, Go talk to Cihan. We're not interested in Cihan, they insisted. We want to work with you. And by the way, do you see those two? They're in love. This was an old rumor, but who were they referring to? It turned out Sadakit had once loved Ijmal. She had threatened him, warning that if he didn't tell the truth, she would expose his feelings for her. Shaheen soon discovered that his father was behind the companies attempting to negotiate with him. You must become the head of the family, his father urged. Shaheen refused. He confronted Cihan. Did you know they would try to reconcile with me? Why didn't you say anything? Cihan met his gaze. I knew you would never betray me. That's why I let you handle them. I trust you. You are my brother. Aliyah called the old woman and agreed to marry Cihan, but under strict conditions. The marriage would be in name only. Her son would continue his education uninterrupted until he turned 18. After that, they would divorce. She would work in a hospital. Cihan accepted, but the old woman refused and shot Aliyah. Cihan immediately ordered his men to take her to the hospital, ensuring that no police would be involved. The surgery was a success, and she was brought back to the mansion. The old woman was waiting for them. Cihan turned to her, furious. What will you tell your grandson if something happens to her? You should be grateful she didn't see you. If you ever go near Aliyah again, I will leave this house, and I'll take Cihan with me. Meanwhile, Shaheen visited his mother, who was cursing his father. He tried to reason with her. We didn't betray you, he said, but she refused to believe him. When Aliyah woke up, she wanted to know who had shot her. Cihan claimed he didn't see, only that he was helping her. Are you going to report it? She asked. He hesitated, wanting her to feel safe first. Shaheen, seeking answers, confronted his father. Why does the old woman hate us so much? His father sighed and revealed the truth. Despite her title, the old woman had once been a servant in their mansion. His father had loved her deeply, and she had loved him back. But over time, he lost interest and abandoned her. She was heartbroken and swore revenge. He never imagined she would go through with it. After being cast aside, she set her sights on his brother. The man fell completely in love with her, blinded by devotion. Even after learning about her past with his brother, he didn't care. He married her anyway. Shaheen pressed further. Then why did you work with her brother? Hassan became my close friend, his father admitted. But the traitor never told me he was her brother. When the moment was right, he betrayed me. Instead of becoming the head of the family, Jihan took my place. You need to be strong, or the old woman will destroy our family. Jihan gathered the smugglers and set new rules. Heavy weapons were allowed. Drugs were banned. The family's share would be 25% for allowing goods to pass through their territory. At the mansion, the old woman finally confessed. She had shot Aliyah. I won't let her become another Shiida, she spat. Shiida had married her son, but secretly remained in contact with Demir. One night, she had tried to kill him, but the old woman had saved him just in time. Shaheen reported her to the police, but when they arrived, Aliyah covered for her. I tried to take my own life, she lied. Jihan later confronted Shaheen. His voice was low but firm. One day, I will get justice for my father. Jihan and Aliyah informed the boy about their plans to marry. Curious, he asked what his relationship to them would be. They assured him, I will always be your uncle, and you are a precious responsibility from your father. I will nurture and protect you until you grow up. They organized a grand wedding without any music or traditional festivities. The officiant and witnesses were there, and the ceremony proceeded smoothly. However, the older woman created an awkward moment when she expressed her desire for a grandson as wish for a son. He reassured her, saying, No need to worry. Our marriage is just formal, and we have a large room with a door. You will sleep here while I stay in the other room, and to comfort you, I'll sleep outside tonight. The following day, she set out to find a job. The older woman contacted every hospital but received no offers. Ajmal reached out to Demir, saying, I'll try to get in touch with those involved in smuggling and allow them to transport drugs under the letter R only, as long as it's done with Shaheen. But at the last minute, Jihan altered the delivery point, and everything appeared to be going well until the police intervened and seized the goods. How did they learn about the new delivery location? Upon returning home, he discovered that his wife had overheard their conversation regarding the latest delivery point. When he confronted her, she admitted to listening in, justifying that as a doctor, she had encountered addicts and couldn't remain silent. His mother inquired if his wife was the one who reported them. He assured her no, that she was unaware of anything. He comforted her by saying he was protecting her, as she wouldn't be able to shield her son if a bullet struck her. He explained he wasn't dealing in white drugs. Rather, he felt compelled to engage in smuggling to safeguard his family. Ajmal then conveyed to his son, I finally grasped that Hassan is the root cause. Your primary concern should be to eliminate him. Shaheen glanced at him, and the ideal moment arose to conclude the matter. Nara approached him, pleading to hold on to the cherished memories. Aliyah secured employment at Ida Bieber's hospital. Investors visited her office. Demir made a point to see her and attempted to collaborate with her once more, but she would undoubtedly reject the offer. The elder would not remain quiet regarding Shaheen's actions. They planned to sell the palace under Ajmal's name, who passed away before the property could be registered in his name. Consequently, the palace would be hers, allowing her to sell it and exact revenge. She understood that this maneuver would instigate conflict among them. Nara went to the doctor, and this time she found reassurance about her pregnancy. She confided that she didn't wish to work in a hospital associated with the Bieber's family, but felt trapped as the elder had barred her from all hospitals, expressing her anxieties. She couldn't fathom sitting among a family of smugglers. She recounted how her brother had long distanced himself from smuggling, and how other families had targeted them, compelling him to cooperate with them while steering clear of heavy weaponry and illicit substances. If he abstained, their family would face dire consequences. Shaheen's mother received an eviction notice from court, leading her to madness as she sought out her friends, bringing along her son, only to be denied entry by the guards. University, pursued by a delinquent. Kaya observed her, intercepting her and administering a beating. The delinquent brandished a gun, pulling the trigger at Kaya, who defended himself by retaliating. Kaya notified his brother, resulting in a shooting incident involving a man named Sidatoglu. Ultimately, he did not evade capture, and the police apprehended him, transporting him to jail. His lawyer brother guided him on what to articulate in his report. Sidat, the victim of the shooting, lay in intensive care. Cyrene found herself in the same hospital, receiving treatment. The police arrived to take her statement. Aliyah urged, I'll tend to her first. Then you can proceed with your inquiries. During this interval, her parents pressured her to implicate Kaya and assert that he acted with intent, not in self-defense. A friend approached her, advising, speak the truth. Now, do you value the truth? Aliyah was administering care, and Zyrene recounted her love for Kaya and how he appeared through her eyes. She lamented not being able to catch her before she fell victim to the delinquent. The police sought her statement while she conversed with her husband. A woman named Mina, observing from a distance, was connected to Jihan, knowing her marriage to Ali was merely on paper, yet she hoped he would marry her eventually. Shaheen's sister was released and reassured him that she had told the truth. She hadn't intended harm, only defending herself. Her mother asked Zyrene what she disclosed to the police. Zyrene explained her affection for Kaya. Don't be frightened, she insisted. It was self-defense, but remember she stood by your son, and you are preparing to sell your house. The elder would enact her plan. She contacted her brother, instructing him to sell the palace using the power of attorney she possessed. The prospective buyer was one of Demir's associates, and she informed him that Jihan was selling the palace, providing the power of attorney to her brother. Aliyah overheard this and told the man she would transfer the funds to purchase it and bring the documentation. She notified her husband about Demir's intent to buy the palace from Shaheen. Jihan, upon visiting the hospital, learned from Birin that the palace had been sold. Demir was elated by the news. Jihan pressed him, "What if I converse with your man to discover who acquired the palace?" He inquired, and the man revealed that when he arrived at court, he was threatened not to proceed with the purchase. The palace had been sold, but it was registered in Jihan's name. He admonished, "Come on, isn't this disgraceful? If you need a palace, reach out to me, but don't acquire one for our family." It only on paper upset Mina, who had been told from the start that he wouldn't marry her. Kia was heartbroken after seeing the video in her bag, which contained Buran's will. In it, Buran expressed his deep affection for her, but also stated that if he were to be killed, he would marry again. Aliyah was devastated, unable to believe her husband could say such things. Jihan, realizing she had viewed the video, tried to console her. Aliyah was overwhelmed with grief, and Zihan attempted to provide support, understanding her pain. She discovered the video was in her possession, where she learned that he had been taught by his brother Ibran. When questioned about removing her old ring, she revealed her past with Buran and her attachment to him. However, after watching the video, she realized Buran would always be the father of her children. As night fell, Ajmal's men, disguised as doctors, entered his hospital room with the intent to kill him. Jihan was busy arguing with his mother when her phone rang. It was an important call from her husband, who informed her that Jihan had discovered the situation and that the police were involved. She hung up, frustrated with the lack of cooperation, and reiterated that Ajmal was Buran's father and that little Jihan would ultimately belong to him. This news brought both anger and sadness, as Jihan after all that had transpired. He reached out to Kadir, making it clear that Ajmal had crossed a line and would face the consequences for his actions. Aliyah managed to persuade him to accompany her on a trip, taking her son along, even though he was initially reluctant. Ultimately, he consented. Aliyah had additional plans in mind. She organized the passport and secured tickets for both herself and her son. The following day, they were set to arrive at the wedding, where Aliyah and her husband would serve as witnesses. The groom expressed his gratitude to Jihan for handling all the arrangements, including organizing the wedding and purchasing a house, which he furnished with his own means. Aliyah was taken aback. Could Jihan really be an artist who could sing? Seizing the moment, she took her son and left. Kadir informed him that she had departed from the wedding. Jihan was aware of this, having overheard her mention their travel plans to her son. Upon reaching the airport, she had only the final stamp to acquire before departure. Jihan observed her from a distance, waiting to see her next move.